The Open is over, and many of you are asking, now what? If you made the top 10%, congratulations, you've earned it. Our RX Path will be prepping for quarterfinals over the next 2 weeks. We will provide you with a comprehensive peaking structure along with detailed warm-ups, pacing plans, and tip videos for each of the quarterfinal workouts. And this will only be delivered to our TDT Compete athletes. This will not be public facing. For those who did not qualify inside of the top 10%, our intermediate path will start a 3-week base building program that will help you build a foundation for your off season, where we work on strength and gymnastics development protocols so you can reach your goal of making the top 10% next year. Masters athletes, we have 4 weeks before the age group quarterfinal, which means we are in full swing prepping you for your biggest competition of the year. We have included structured strength and CrossFit progressions that will lead us directly into the quarterfinal weekend, including a quarterfinal simulation with our entire Masters community this weekend. And our elite path, if you have made semifinals, we will write a personalized program for you to properly peak you for the week you're competing. Come join TDT Compete right now. Go to trainingthinktank.com. All right, so let's talk about quarterfinals then, because this is the next step.
I already did. I've predicted quarterfinals.
You did.
These people already know what quarterfinals is.
So for those that did make the top 10%, we wanted to kind of just talk about what we are doing over the next couple of weeks. It's a fast turnaround. You essentially have like a bridge week, and then that next week we're going into quarterfinals. But what are the things that we do as a company for our individual athletes and for our online athletes that kind of makes the difference to help them taper correctly for the competition?
Yeah, well, I think a week, you have basically one full week and then one half week now until quarterfinals. For the most part, this last week is about, I would call it like priming your body and mind for the competition. Getting you're not trying to be beat down during that final week, but you are still trying to get a pretty hard week of training and get exposure to as many of the things that possibly can come up. So get the kettlebell touches, get the rope climb touches, get the muscle up touches, see some workouts in a fatigue-based setting, and actually touch those skills that you know are known and knowable within the testing structure. And then start setting your mind up for what's coming. We know we've already done a simulation. So we've already started preparing our athletes for quarterfinals, and we've done that in the program and on site.
And just real quick for people who didn't know, that was in week 2 of the Open. One of the workouts was 23.2, and then the rest of that weekend they did 5 other workouts.
Yeah, so basically we're trying to model, okay, well, this is what's going to happen in quarterfinals. Just get people used to that. We weren't trying to get every detail exactly the same with floor plans and all of that, but just
provide the chaos.
Yeah, provide the chaos, other people doing the workouts, the time frames of us waiting until 3, doing something max effort, doing like we did a snatch ladder to 15-10-5, which was kind of like the strength testing under fatigue. So we're trying to just give people exposure to that and then remind people what the process is like and what to expect, and then what that last 3 days of taper looks like to be ready to go for Thursday night.
Yeah. And so on Thursday night, this I think is probably like the coolest thing that we can do for our athletes, because the reality is the hay's in the barn for most people. You do need those touches this last week, and I think you need coaches that are thinking about, essentially have a checklist of, here are the things that may come out. Let's get exposure to them in either skill touches or under fatigue over the next week. But then when we get to Thursday night, those workouts are released. What we do as an organization is we basically pull all the big brains and the little brains together. I'm a little brain. You stole my line. And we write warm-ups, we write cool-downs, we talk about what we can provide with nutrition tips between workouts, if one's super long versus one's really, really short and intense. Yeah. And then we come up with pacing plans. So what you all have seen during the Open, we have that same process, except now it's all behind the scenes. So it's only internal to our athletes, both our individual athletes and in TDT Compete.
Yeah. So if you want that, you can sign up.
Wow. just throw it out there for but I do think that that's very helpful, because we get scores right away, so we can kind of help athletes navigate, like, hey, if you are a semifinal level athlete, you probably need to be here. And then also, I think with so many coaches that have good athletes, or we have good athletes in Compete, we can give better guidelines for what that cut line is going to look like. Like, oh, you need to hit this snatch, or you need to do this many GHD sit-ups in a workout.
Yeah. Another way, how would someone mess up this quarterfinals, the week leading up to it, and maybe the actual event itself?
Here's the biggest thing that I've seen, and it's just overtraining, right? Because everyone feels like they need to cram everything in, which I also have this problem as a coach. Like, we need to make sure we're getting touches on this, this, and this. But if you're training hard all Monday through Saturday of this week, and then you train hard on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of next week, you go into Thursday night and you're like, man, I'm beat up.
Yeah.
You're not, even if you don't feel it, if you're training hard all the way through, most likely you're not optimized for those workouts. So having a correct taper and still making sure that you're getting touches and all those things, having the right amount of intensity and volume, all of that, it's almost like this combination, right, of like science and just like being realistic about what may come out, where like we're putting that soup together for you so it tastes real nice.
Yeah. I like that whole metaphor. And then
what if you don't like soup?
Yeah.
I like soup.
Then
the sushi roll, putting a little avocado and cucumber in there.
Yeah, never mind.
No, that was a bad one.
That wasn't as good.
Those are two things I'm thinking about right now.
Yeah, so your question was, what can you mess up before and then during?
Yeah,
I think during
things people get wrong.
During, I think it's kind of it's rushing. It's not going through reading the standards, getting the floor plan set up ahead of time, coming up with a pacing plan, understanding what a target is on the workout. There's a lot of people. I've seen people here do a workout and not know the standard. We went and read through all the standards, and then you talk to the athlete and they're like, did you go through the standards? And they're like, yeah. And then they do the workout afterwards and they got no reps. And they're like, why'd I get no rep? Oh, my feet were too wide on handstands. And they're like, I didn't know that was part of the standard. And so those are little things that I think, if there's a time frame, so the workouts come out, you have 24 hours to do them. Everyone's super excited and they want to get set up and they want to get going and they know they have to do it Thursday night. But that's where a lot of, I think, the errors get made, is that they're not taking their time. And I say that because I think we did that last year. We had so many people to get through. And then this year we told everyone, we're going to start 2 hours later. We're going to make sure that we get through all the nitty gritty. Maybe we have some people demo the workout so we have some sort of an idea of like, okay, this is kind of where, even if we have somebody that's a little lower level do it, usually we can kind of get a barometer for where that higher threshold is. And I think that just is planning, preparation, thinking about it. So I think hopefully the stuff that we put out is the solution to what people might mess up on game day.
Yeah.
It's just figuring out how to execute. You only get one shot at it. Maybe you could repeat the next day, but I'd say plan on trying to only be one and done, because you got to do all 5 of them.
There's so many, and it's crammed in there.
Yeah, and some of them are like just the example, that GHD rope climb pistol workout. If somebody messed that up crazily or their video was messed up, like, that's a tough workout to repeat unless you're a games athlete. The games athletes can handle 300 GHDs in a 24-hour window. But if you're like
not me,
just making it to semifinals, I feel like that can really grind people down. They just don't have that mechanical tolerance built yet.
Yeah. The last thing I would say is embrace the fun. Like this is what you train for all year. Instead of letting the anxiety and the worry get the most of you, allow it to embrace it and enjoy the process, because this is kind of like the climax for most people of their season.
Yeah.
So I was actually thinking that along the same lines, what is a disservice, like a mentality that would be a disservice for people during this time? Or is it so individually specific that you can't really say?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's individual specific. Some things I see are complaining about the structure of the workout or something like that. And we do it, a little bit in the podcast to say, hey, these are things that we're changing. But in terms of like getting ready on the floor,
if you were the athlete out on the floor,
I wouldn't be being like, oh, this standard is stupid, or this is like, you're just reinforcing literally right before you're about to go how difficult something's going to be. So I now have been trying to phrase that
like, holy shit, this standard's fucking sweet.
Yeah, or just put a positive mental spin on it. Like, in order to hit this standard, I'm not going to let my ass, I'm going to squeeze my butt tighter or something. You don't need to be ridiculous and say you like something you don't like, but just not complaining to the point that it's making you negatively think about something that you got to do anyway.
Yeah.
Like, you can't change it.
Yeah.
I know it's so cliche. We've heard this all the time, but you have to control the controllables.
Yeah.
So, effort and execution are the two primary ones. So make sure that you execute, even if the standards aren't to your liking, and make sure that you're giving your best effort. And if you do that, then even if you don't do as well as you want, you can't walk away being upset about it. Like, maybe you're just not as good as you hope you are, but then identify those things and keep getting better.
What do you do when you shit the bed on one? Is there any, I just bit my tongue. Is there any general advice for like how to maybe like manage your emotions during, when it doesn't go well, when you have more events that you have to do in a short window?
I mean, I think psychological reframing is a skill, and it's a skill that the best athletes in the world, they might not talk about it like they do it, but they just do it anyway. They'll say like one workout at a time, or that's in the past, I got to focus on the next one now, or I'm going to cool down so I could get my head out of this and get ready for the next workout. Most general people let the first workout goes to shit. They do that. They shit the bed, and then they'll bring that shit into the next workouts, and it'll be like this snowball of bad execution that happens. So I think figuring out if something goes wrong, what are the things you can take away from it? Is there any wins that you had? Was any movement feel good? Did you control your headspace after a miss? Like Lydia, for example, on the last workout, she missed a couple of snatches in the last barbell, and then she wanted to finish. That was her goal. And she like slammed all of the bars. Like she hit 4 lifts in 30 seconds to finish under the cap. So she could go back and look at that and be like, oh, I made all these misses. Or you create a reframe about, okay, well, this is positive. Like I'm able to hit these under fatigue. I'm able to get under the time cap. I'm able to move these heavy weights. And I think that the ability to control your headspace about them and just literally use better words to describe what happened and process the emotion quickly.
That's a good analogy too, because like if you did shit the bed, it would be very weird to go then and get back in the bed the next night in the shit without cleaning it up.
Yeah. In that metaphor,
that'd be really weird.
You would clean your sheets. Yeah. You might put a diaper on for the next sleep.
Yeah. So clean your head. Clean your head. The last thing, and this kind of goes to what you were saying, Max, but learn from those mistakes. Like don't completely avoid them. Think about it and then come up with a game plan. Chris, you're going to love this one, but I watched this documentary on Tom Brady last year when he was supposed to originally retire. But it was a game where he threw like 2 or 3 interceptions in the first half, and they show him on the sidelines, and he's like, okay, like give me the game tape, and they have it on these like nice iPads, so it like plays over right away. And he's basically there sitting there with his coaches like, how did I throw this? How did I miss this guy? And they just re-game planned right there so that he didn't do it again. And then he threw like 4 touchdowns in the second half to come back and win. And that's what the greats do. Like they're learning from it, and he doesn't get upset about it. He just figures it out and overcomes it.
Or they get upset and overcome it and then get back to like there's the sports psychology term called neutrality. Like you're not supposed to be overly positive. You're not supposed to be overly negative. You're supposed to be more neutral about the situation. Like, oh, this didn't go the way I wanted, but here's what I got to focus on next.
You think you could teach this to Brannen?
Not on a golf course.
This man ain't got no neutrality.
What's that? Well, I don't even know what that is.
So speaking of something you said earlier, I think is that why Abraham Lincoln was a president?
Because
I feel like if he was a tree chopper, no one would hire his ass. 6 hours.
This dude's been sitting there for the last 4 hours sharpening his axe.
He's got the sharpest axe in the world. It would be interesting though. Would he cut it down faster than somebody with a dull axe? Probably not.
Yeah, I don't know.
You
want to test this out?
Yeah. No, I'm definitely not a speed person. If I'm fast, I'm like 2 chops, and then I'm like, all right, I gotta.
You need a twig.
I got to nap. Yeah. I gotta have trees small enough that I could chop them down in 2 swings.
Y'all know the YouTube channel Helen from Georgia?
Yes.
It's like the old lady who does lives. Yeah. She chopped down a tree in an episode, which, by the way, if you've never seen Helen from Georgia.
You showed me
she's worth a watch. Just pull up any of them. I don't know. I haven't watched her in a couple of years now, but there was a moment where I just turn her on every day, and she just does a lot. Hey, y'all. And she's really old. One episode, she's chopping down a tree. It was great.
Never seen it, never heard it.
I don't know if you should.
No, you should. Everybody should. You're welcome. I hope she's still alive.
Right.
She was kind of up there.
Well, thanks, friends. Is
that it? Is that how we're concluding?
I think let's go watch that. We'll sit here.
Quarterfinals coming up. Get your head right. If you want to train with us and you want our help, go to ThinkTank.com/compete.
Yep. All right. Hope you enjoyed that clip of the Corpus Animus Podcast. To hear the full episode where we talk about our thoughts on the Open, quarterfinal predictions, what to do after the Open if your season just ended, and what to do if you made it to quarterfinals, check out the audio version on all major podcast providers or peep the other clips here on YouTube.